You know, when I first seen it on television, I remember being sad and thinking, you know, what's going to happen. I thought of the Exxon Valdez. I thought of the people there, and I thought about, is this going to be the same for us? It was scary. It's really scary.
We had people come to the beach and look at it like they were looking at it for the last time. We didn't know if the beaches were going to be black forever. It was just this sense of foreboding disaster.
It was an entire Gulf of Mexico-wide event, so that was really the shocking takeaway from all this.
It's the whole coast of Louisiana. Not only Louisiana, this could affect Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. This is everyone's problem now.
After it exploded, the oil started at Louisiana, and then next Mississippi, and then Alabama, and then we're the next one over in Florida, so I knew it was coming. So I got out here the next morning right after daybreak. You could not walk from the parking lot to the Gulf without stepping in oil. It was covered with oil. It was unbelievable.
The BP oil spill was probably one of the single most horrific events of my career.
If you're in the tourist industry, forget about your income that year. You're under, you're finished. It's the worst thing that can happen.
This was ground zero, and this is where we have the most of our hotels. The phone stopped ringing. It was almost what I call a twilight zone moment, where everything went dark.
Whether it's the commercial fishing community, whether it's the commercial real estate community, the hospitality industry, the restaurant industry, everybody realized they were suffering the same pain.
We had about 250 people we had to lay off. And you know, every one of them has a child or a spouse or other dependents, and it's heartbreaking to walk up to somebody and tell them, we just simply don't have the money to pay you. There's a ripple effect to this. The biggest driver of our economy is tourism. They had to lay off teachers as a result of us not creating the revenue that we need in order to pay the property tax.
It was pretty economically devastating to an area that is largely dependent on tourism and the seafood industry. People didn't want to buy seafood because they presumed it was contaminated.
Most of our coastal communities are fishermen's towns where they crab, do oysters, fish, and that's what they do for a living. For them not being able to go to work as a commercial fisherman, how are they going to eat? How are they going to pay their bills? That was the craziest thing to see. You're riding down the bayous and you'll see, instead of their big nets hanging off their boats or their trawls on the back deck of their boats, you've seen boom.
The thing about the oil spill that made it unique was its size and its breadth. No matter how you slice it, the impact was still catastrophic for the Gulf as a whole. As of late 2017, as we looked at fishes and shrimps that live in the water column, and we look in their eggs, we're still finding oil from Deepwater Horizon. So as far as we know, the actual impact of the spill is not over yet.
I fly over down the coast from here to New Orleans all the time, and when I look out into the Gulf at night, I'm a pilot, so I get to fly low, and when you look at the number of rigs in the Gulf of Mexico and you look at the stars, you can't make any difference out. It's a solid, there is no horizon. It's dotted like stars in the Gulf of Mexico.
If you took all of the oil and gas pipeline in the Gulf of Mexico end to end, it would circle the equator. So there's an enormous amount of pipes being held together with bolts and whatnot, lots of valves. There's just all sorts of stuff down there, all of which is vulnerable and can break.
We still have thousands of spills every year. The infrastructure is getting older and we are having more and more problems with it.
You can travel down any highway in Louisiana and you're going to see a pipeline somewhere. Even in our bayou areas, you will see where the oil and gas is, they dug canals and they left them. And so that, I think, has caused a lot of our erosion problems.
When the oil industry establishes itself, the production of oil is only a small part of the impact it has on the area. Transmission lines, hundreds of pipelines that run through our wetlands, hundreds of navigation canals that have been cut to get ships here.
And if you want to take a snapshot of the future of what our beautiful, pristine white beaches are going to look like, it's not a pretty sight.
There's a lot of stories about communities that used to be very sustainable because they had bayous that they would fish from and crab from, and there was always a source of food, but they are now prohibited from doing any of that because it's polluted. So the quality of life of many of the people in that area went down after industry came in.
They came in, they took what they wanted, they took the riches of the land, and they left. And we're stuck with whatever they didn't want.
Today, unfortunately, I don't see any changes. The same situation, the same circumstances that we were in 10 years ago could happen again today.
If you look at what's happening now in the Gulf, they're going deeper, they're going riskier.
The deeper you go drilling, the greater the odds of another accident. There are leases for oil drilling in excess of 3,000 meters. Deepwater Horizon was 1,600 meters.
I have no doubt that another disaster like the Deepwater Horizon is going to happen again. It's going to be in my lifetime or my children's lifetime, but it's definitely going to happen again. And the sad part is I don't think we've had any lessons learned from the last time.
Many of our group that worked on the oil spill believe it's only a matter of time until we have another. It's not really an if, it truly is a when. Future generations will look back and think that we'd lost our senses, because here we can see the effects of climate change. And yet we're expanding the thing that's the number one cause of it. I think we have a lot to answer for the future if this is the path we choose to take as a nation.